Hey, what's up? This is my trade review for Tuesday, November 13th, 2018. It's about 7:45 p.m. Looking back at the charts today, had a ton of great opportunities to solidify the rules a little bit more, but let's go through it. I'm going to try to make this quick because I'm not feeling too well. So I came into today about about when we were making this pullback here, so like 6:45ish, somewhere in there. Yeah. And so what I came into was we had a prior swing here, and then we had putting a swing in here, and then we had some interior swing spots in here, which we'll address here in a little bit. So my initial goal was above this 35 level to short back down. If we could get a trap up there and short back down, that never actually formed though, as you can tell. So we started. Sorry about that. So here's that 35 level. This is where it ended up kind of pivoting lower, and so it broke out of this channel and started making a real quick move down. So this is kind of the same thing that we saw yesterday when we did not have a pullback to the moving average. So to count through this, we had a 1 and then a 2, but again, it's part of this bigger channel, so the expectation is that it continues to go up higher this way. It never did, so then it starts over, so it breaks down and it never pulls back to this yellow line. Because I was looking at this this level with an X here, I was looking for an opportunity there. Never really. I sat on my hands because it didn't pull back to the moving average, so it didn't satisfy our criteria, and so I updated that sheet at the top. So prior swing would have been identified as this interior swing right here. I'll talk about that in a minute. Valid 1-2 try setting up. It never had the 2 try, so that we couldn't check that one off. No double bottoms, no double tops. Yeah, so that's the way it goes. It looks like you probably would have gotten stopped out. So if you were to get a signal on one of these, if you were to take the trade here at 61, you maybe could have moved your stop up to break even and then gotten stopped out. So worked out in the end. Glad I followed the rules. And then it continued to move down to this next swing level, which I need to mark this one up. I usually like to take the red and green lines off once the level's been used, and then just put the white line in there for reference if I'm going back and looking at the charts for some reason. So we'll take that white line or that green line off. So that was my next point. We did have a pretty strong close underneath, but stochastics were pretty high, and I didn't like this grind. So I drew the range in here. We started to kind of get a range. We had a top, so double top, and then a bunch of bottoms in the same area. So when we get a range, it starts to kind of move inside that range, which it exactly did here. So what we'd be looking for is a 2 try outside of the range and back up, or a 2 try outside of the range above and back down. The thing with ranges is when that range forms, it typically gets back into that range when it makes a move in one direction. So this was a beautiful 2 try. So real clear and evident of 1 pull back to the moving average, and a 2 even stronger up into this prior swing. Now the swing wasn't super strong, but you see this green candle that made kind of a new high. That I guess everybody else was using that as a swing as well, and we got the lineup, everything we needed in the trade, so it worked out. So 93 right there. We actually didn't get the stochastics above, but it was at 93, so we went ahead and took the trade, which I'm seeing now that the stochastics is not as important. It's just kind of a bonus. So as long as it's above that 90 level and you're at that point of resistance and you've made the nice 2 try, the 2 try is the most important thing, obviously. As we see here, it didn't have the 2 try, so we bailed, or we didn't take the trade. And then it grinded, so we didn't take that trade, but we did take this trade because of the nice 2 try. Nice and clearly defined 2 try. Back to the moving average up to the top. We shorted. Let me turn my... This is the one that's covered in the video, and that says plus 15 short. So take a look at that. You'll see the live entries and exits. So we actually got super good pricing on it. All I was doing was looking for that close above that swing. So we got the close. We got in at 85, and we got out at 70. So that was our 15-point move. This would have been a good opportunity for trading multiple contracts. So you could have traded 3 contracts is what I'm looking forward to. So first off, get to 10, you move your stop down to protect all 3. And then when you get to 15, you take that first one off. Next one would have been at 20, which would have been right there. And then the next one would have been a runner, which this is the definition of a runner, right? So we were in at the very top of this move at 85, and it flushed all the way down to 85. So that's a dollar move and even more. I think at the end of the day, like 55. So huge move. Not a single point in time would have you even been worried about getting stopped out because it just fell. It just went straight down. So kind of a cool. It's good to see that we're on the right track. We're looking at the right things. We're in at the very apex of these moves, which is the part I like the most. So that was actually the only trade I took today. None of the others. There are some that I should have taken, but I didn't. That were exactly the same as this, and I'll show you here in a minute. So here's that major swing area right here. This white line. Again, no pullback. So I'm avoiding that at all costs, right? Stick with the rules. So no pullback to the moving average. So this is invalidated. And then I think we had another swing. Okay, so on the demo accounts, you only get so many days of data. And so I don't know what's over here. And so I had to just use the swings that were forming as the day went, which actually seemed to work pretty well. I'll show you a couple opportunities here. So let me get this crosshair thing off. Okay. So we had a swing high here. We had a move up and then move back down, and then we had a nice 1 into the moving average and 2 above, just barely trapping above that. There's your short right there. I didn't take it. I watched it. I didn't get the stochastics. So looking back at it now, I didn't get the stochastics on the first one either, which worked out. So that's why I'm thinking that stochastics is not the end-all be-all when it comes to these moves. It's more of just making sure you're getting that close over that previous level to get the trap. So there's the trap, and you get in on the next candle short. So we saw that kind of forming. I continued to watch it, and we had another perfect 2-try here. So we have a swing point here and a swing point here. Get rid of this one since it's been used. So we didn't have any pullbacks going into this one, so there's nothing we could do. Now we got our official pullback, so we can put our 1 in. Now we're just looking for a 2 above this horizontal line. I didn't love this kind of grind sideways. It is what it is, and I should have been okay with it, but I let this one go. It had a nice close above that previous level for the trap. So if we got in 64, your stop up is up here at 74. 64, 54 would have moved our stop down. No more risk in the trade, and then 49 would have been our 15. So nice 15 there. There was also 15 to be gained on this one. Obviously, a lot more than 15. This one ended up popping back up. So you would have gotten stopped out of that if you had 3 contracts, but you would have been at break even, which is fine. They're not all going to be runners. And that's pretty much where I ended the day. We actually got another 2. 1, 2. Closed above. I watched the whole time and didn't take the trade. So that's why I put on that. I unbolded the stochastics because it kept me from 2 actionable setups. So I'm going to leave it on here just as a reference and as a reminder, but it's not as critical as the others that are highlighted in are bold and purple. So, and that's pretty much where I ended the day. We would have gotten nice. Like I mentioned before, we're at the top of these moves. So that I entered literally 85, and I think the high of this pullback was 86. 85, we're at the top of that move. We're at the top of this move. We're again at the top of this move. We're at the top of this move. So I like how you're getting like the major inflection points when it comes to entering these trades. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Zooming out a little bit, we'll look at some of what we want to keep on the charts. So we'll keep this level here on the chart. It seems pretty major. When you have 3 that are relatively close, I usually do it the most conservative. So you can move it and put it here or even here. I'm actually going to draw 2. Make it kind of a zone. So there and there, that's a pretty strong area right there. Call that the battle zone. I was creating major moves. That's why you see the yellow. Sometimes they're helpful. Not all the time, though. This is kind of a double top, so I won't use that. These where I have the 2-2s, I'm not going to use that just because it is double top. It may come into play. We'll take a look at it if we need to. And then there's a major swing down here a little ways, so we'll mark those up. I have a feeling this excuse me, this market's going to run sometime. This is like the 20th down day in a row, so I expect one of these times we're going to get this same type of movement, just the opposite way. So we'll see when that happens or if it happens. But again, we're just trading the patterns when they appear. It doesn't matter if you have an opinion on crude oil or if it's going higher or lower. We're really just looking for the patterns to trade. So looking back at some of these swings here, let's see if there were any other opportunities. I don't think there were. I briefly looked. Let's tighten this up a little bit. So 1, 2, 1, 2, but didn't really get over a swing area. If it would have got up here, that would have been a nice trap. You could technically use this level here. When using those interiors, I'd really like to see the stochastics on our side, as long as it's above 90. So that would have been the first close, and you would have gotten in on that candle. So say you got really bad, 36 up to 46. So yeah, another opportunity there. I would have preferred to use the bigger move, but since stochastics were so high and this was a nice 1-2, it makes sense. And typically these legs are symmetrical, which is another thing that you can line up these measured moves to match up with other points. So yeah, put a measure move in there. Something like that. We know it blew past the measure move, so then we're just looking for the close over the swing. So yeah, it would have been a valid try. Let's see what else we got. These are all lower highs, and it just kind of fell off a cliff. I would never trade this late in the day, but this may have been trouble. So, show you what I'm looking at here. That's actually the close of the market and the open of the next day, so that's way too late to be trading, but assuming it's not. Here's a 1, pull back to moving average, 2, and there's a pretty major swing. So there would be a short candle, which you would have got taken out of that real quick. Again, that's kind of like a time of the day. A time of the day and kind of understanding where you're at, right? Where you're at is you're at multiple legs down. It's probably not best to be shorting this low in a day that the market moves from almost 59 to 55. A $5 move in crude is crazy. Let's see what the actual move was. On the market analyzer tab, you can see the range. Oh, it's already reset at the day. So today's range is already almost $1. Typically, crude moves about $1 in a day, so we're seeing a lot of volatility here, which is probably good for us. We get the moves, more moves, which proved out today. We had 1 opportunity, 2 opportunities, 3 opportunities, 4 opportunities. All of them actually would have worked, so we would have been 15 plus on 4, which would have been a nice day. 45, 60, $600 day on 1 contract each. So pretty good. These days don't come all the time though. So anyway, that's my review for today. Have a great night. Talk tomorrow.